The European Commission has recommended relaxing visa requirements for Turkish citizens. If approved by the European Parliament, Turkish citizens won't need a visa to enter the Schengen area. Vice President of the EU Commission says Turkey has fulfilled almost all the criteria necessary to implement the policy, but that there were still a few outstanding issues.
Over the last weeks, Turkey has made impressive progress. There is still work to be done as a matter of urgency. But if Turkey sustains the progress made and continues at the same pace, they can meet the remaining benchmarks.
Airstrikes have targeted a rebel-held area east of Syria's capital, Damascus, after an agreement to stop the fighting there expired at midnight. In Aleppo, dozens of fighters and soldiers were killed in the Al-Zahra district as regime forces recaptured several buildings from the rebels. Meanwhile, Britain and France have called for an emergency meeting on the UN Security Council to discuss the escalating violence in the city. Peace talks between Yemen's government and rebels have resumed in Kuwait. Negotiations were suspended on Sunday after the government side protested against an apparent rebel advance. The government has also called for international observers to be sent to the frontline city of Taiz. Fighting continues there despite the declaration of a ceasefire on April the 11th. A wildfire in the Canadian province of Alberta is forcing more than 60,000 people to flee. The entire population of the city of Fort McMurray is under a mandatory evacuation order after the city breached city limits. The blaze doubled in size overnight and jumped a river, starting a second fire. Donald Trump is almost certain to become the Republican nominee in the race for the White House. His closest rival, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, abruptly ended his campaign after losing heavily to Trump in the Indiana primary. It leaves the path clear for Trump to secure the number of delegates he needs. Brazil's prosecutor general has asked the Supreme Court to investigate President Dilma Rousseff. She's accused of trying to obstruct investigations into a corruption case involving state-run oil company Petrobras.